We're willing to rush in when it comes to the last flu virus that went through. But when it comes to thousands of our children and youth dying, I don't see that much of a response, right?
It's a hard act to follow. One thing that initially came to mind when you asked the question, and I just read the news bit the other day that the police services, and specifically Police Chief Murray Faulkner here in town, was given an award from St. Joe's as a partner in care because of the work that the police are doing in supporting or assisting or managing situations, mental health issue situations that the police, who are often the first people to be called when there's a situation in the community, and that they've been handling people in ways that are much more humane than you hear about, on YouTube or in other media reports. So I think that's really significant. There's some real leaders in our community that have made some changes, and through the police services. I think of Lisa Heslop from family consultant, David Simpson, who was with the Psychiatric Patient Advocate Office acting director some time ago, who made some changes that really have helped reduce discrimination for people who have had some kind of contact with the law because of a mental health issue, and in the past were being discriminated on a vulnerable person's check, when they wanted to work with youth, the elderly, or any kind of vulnerable population. And because they had a mental illness, somehow they were not okay to do the work. So they've changed the kind of information that's collected and how it's disseminated so that doesn't happen. And that model is being pushed and supported throughout the province. So that's a locally started initiative by some people who cared, based on a complaint that someone who was discriminated against offered up. So I think, it's a little thing and it's a big thing at the same time. And I think, one of the other issues, too, is that we're not seeing in the adult population enough peer support, having peers work with peers, because who knows best than somebody that has experienced it themselves, right? And I'm not here to badmouth professionals. People, I believe most people are doing the best they can, and it really means paying attention to the people that they serve, and to know that they're naturally creative, resourceful, and whole people who are struggling with mental illness. So make use of all of those natural supports and people who've been there. So I think we're getting better at that. We've got a long way to go, right? Sometimes I just think we should just blow up the system and start all over again. But I might get put away if I said that.
I don't know if that's wish fulfillment or that's true. So my daughter is super hyper creative. She writes. She creates all the time. I have also known people with illnesses that are much better at doing accounting than painting like Picasso or writing music like Beethoven. So I don't know that I buy that. I think if that potential exists in somebody to have that kind of impact that a Beethoven or a Picasso or a Dostoevsky, somebody like that has had, then we should do everything in our power to help encourage that creativity. But we should be doing that anyways, as opposed to, if you've got an illness, then we'll do that, and if you don't, we should just be working on our creativity all the time, because that feels good. And if you do something that feels good, then generally you're happier. And so, the chance to create and the chance to play and the chance to engage in something that is creative, I think is a critical part of everyone's life. And I don't think that's whether you have a mental illness or not.
What's brought to mind for me is a book that that Sean didn't insist I read, but suggested I read, the improv book. Who wrote that?
So that's there's a couple of them. There's one that's called Impro. That's the Impro book by,
right.
by Keith Johnson.
Okay, yes, that's the one. And in the book, he, you know, very broadly claims that we're all psychotic. It's just that, you know, we keep our thoughts inside our head. Because culturally, you know, we can get into a lot of trouble if we put all those thoughts that are in there, out there, and you can think about the ones that you might have yourself, and you won't dare say them out loud. Those are your secret thoughts. And I think that, you know, that's a place of creativity that gets smothered in all of us, you know, let alone, you know, madness and creativity. I guess I probably lean more towards Sean's viewpoint. And I think quite often that the workplace and other things in our society snuff out our creativity and submerge us as human beings. That's scary. That's madness.